Also fees. So it's really interesting right now when you think about your cash flow management for your business, think about the cost structure. I recall having a conversation with a friend, and he's a salesperson. He makes good money, and he is, what we would call a perfect customer at a restaurant, right? The type of customer that people working at restaurants want. Well, he got his tab and he saw that there were fees, but they didn't say what the fees were. It was just an added fee. And so that frustrated him, a person who likes to see all the costs explicitly stated. And so most people understand that it's acceptable to charge fees to continue operating business during COVID. So your PPE costs, costs for hygienic processes or new cleaning methods and procedures, the cost of preparation in different ways, packaging, all of these customers understand that they're going to be paying for adaptations to your business model to continue business as usual. And so if you have costs, it would make sense for you, and you need to pass those costs on to the consumer with the understanding that you're explaining what those costs are or you can't explain, okay? And so it's totally understood that you can charge a COVID fee or a packaging fee. A lot of places actually charge a required packaging fee to like a tax on delivery because of all the packaging used. And so they add an extra fee for delivering and packaging items. And so you can, of course, pass that on to your customer if those fees are adding value by allowing your business to continue operating. You can also absorb the cost of new equipment, safety stock, fast-moving products into the cost of goods sold as well. And so one thing I thought was really interesting was, a restaurant that would choose to add the fee on the receipt but not actually update the menu, right? So it would make sense to update your menu and reflow your pricing, adding that cost into the cost of goods sold. Because the true fact is that if people if they like your restaurant or your service or your delivery process, they're going to pay for the value added to get that product in the way that they're getting it, okay? And so those fees are a cost of doing business, and they should be represented in your pricing, and you should be transparent about passing those costs on to continue operating business. A customer is not going to argue with a small business that is passing on fees, and it's a fair amount, so that they can continue to provide a customer with the service. Also, credit card processing fees.
Tony, can I ask a clarifying question? Yeah. Are you saying that it's better to line item them on the menu, or are you saying build them into the cost of the product?
Right, so build them into the cost of the product. So let's say you have a meal and it's like a $10.99 meal, okay? And you know that there's a $2.50 on average cost to provide that same meal in this environment, then that meal becomes, $13.49.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I've noticed some prices going up on things, and that has not been hard to swallow, just because I'm like, well, yeah, of course they are. This is a weird time.
Yeah. The prices have been going up, but it's not inflation. It's actually an adjustment to the cost, the price point of doing business. And so it's actually just a one-time adjustment that everybody needs to understand, as opposed to like an inflation type scenario. And so because it's not tied to inflation, it's not necessarily considered a Me Too activity, because we don't feel the pressure to raise prices. And so, but you have to do it if there's an implicit cost to providing the business. You should go back and look at the cost of goods sold and reflow those prices. Again, that's a lot easier than having to explain to customers in real time why prices are different. And of course, a person's not going to get up because the price of a meal changed $2, right? In this environment, all else equal. And so that's definitely a good. Also, credit card processing fees. So a lot of companies have been passing through the processing fees. And so this has been allowed in different areas and jurisdictions with no problem, but people are sensitive to this, okay? And so if you're passing through your credit card processing fees, you should show this as a line item on your receipt, okay? And again, you may have to choose. Do you want to change the pricing or add processing fees? I know a lot of people get uncomfortable when they see fees that are like tied to credit card processing on their bill, because they don't really feel like, like if they paid with a debit card and they're still being charged a processing fee, a credit card purchase, okay, but a debit card purchase, it's not tied to that purchase. And so if you have card processing fees and you're passing them on, good. But I think it should be, you should note that also that, card fees are being passed on because of this operating environment or whatever. And you have to be selective of which of these different techniques you use. If you increase prices or you pass through the fees, I would say that increasing the prices across the board are going to do more for you than putting a comment that says that you're adding a charge for credit card processing. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And so definitely consider reflowing the cost of all your goods sold and making sure that those are understood by and the costs are passed through to the customer.